What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another match from the Dota 2 Raidcall League, brought to you by me, yours truly, B-Ballin, the one and only. And if there are any other B-Ballins, then they're obviously posers and frauds, and obviously cannot be trusted with anything. Actually, I did, when, of course, when you're in one of those moods, you just type in random stuff, so I typed in bballin.com, and actually that is a pickup basketball site. That was pretty funny for me. But yep, I'm going to be flying solo, much like that terrible song, but hopefully this will not be a terrible cast, because this is a matchup between Empire and mTw, Empire on the dire side, mTw on the Radiant side, and I heard this matchup is pretty strong, but again, just going to fly solo, nobody likes me. I think I'm going to cry myself to sleep right now, but no time to cry when there's a game to cast. And as always, if you want to watch all the other VODs, check out, well, I honestly can't recall the site. I'm sorry to anybody who wants me to provide them with site information, but you can just Google Raidcall Dota 2 Season, and you can find the official Raidcall Dota 2 website, and there you can find all the VODs casted by AC and Draskell. I'm sure I've done a fantastic job casting. But yep, this is game number 2. Game number 1, I think mTw did lose. So mTw, after their new lineup, which Synderen said it is more stable, but unfortunately are not getting the results that he desired, but he hopes that this lineup will be more sustainable, and eventually as the team comes together, they will be able to get more wins, and I'm rooting for them. But of course, I always have a secret desire to see Synderen come back to casting whenever he can, but hopefully mTw can pull it together and get back on their good results. They were 2-time winners of DreamHack, so hopefully they can sort of reach back to that point. Meanwhile, Empire are going to bat the Lone Druid. mTw most likely going to pick up the Bat Rider right here, because he is probably the only first pick, first ban hero still left in the pool besides Darkseer. So I fully expect Empire to pick up the Darkseer right here, and there goes the Darkseer. Man, it's almost like I predicted this, even though I'll tell you guys a little secret. It was kind of obvious. Meanwhile, Empire also going to choose up the Magnetar, so interestingly enough, we see the Wisp, Undying, and Lone Druid ban, so we're going to see 3 of the top 5 broken heroes in this patch, but Lone Druid has been receiving a lot of ban attention, and a lot of pick attention. Lone Druid always one of those heroes who always seems to endure from one patch to the next. mTw decided to pick up the Twin-Head Dragon, who has been fading out because he doesn't really scale that well, but his Ice Path, his crowd control is just as good as ever. Also pick up the strongest ganking support in the game, in the form of Shouty, so mTw have some pretty solid gankers, have some good crowd control, and have a lot of damage on the side, and Bat Rider can pick up an early Blink Dagger that can give heroes like Cupid Light a lot of troubles. Of course, Cupid Light just wants to stand back, chilling his Illuminate like a little sissy, because Illuminate has like 800,000 casting, and Bat Rider will find him, jump him, lasso him, drag him, and lead that horse to slaughter. So, Empire, they are going into the second round ban phase. If you look a little bit more closely at the picks lineups, mTw have their potential solo mid, who could also jungle in the form Bat Rider, could also offlane as well. Not really too surprising if he does either of those. Bat Rider on the Radiant offlane is a little bit better because he has easy access to that dire hard camp for the neutral pull, and he can easily cut down, and he can escape over the cliff quite easily if he does manage to go for a creep wave. So in this game, since Bat Rider is on the Radiant, I would be too surprised if mTw do the long lane Bat Rider. Meanwhile, Empire, I think they're probably going to do the Darkseer offlane, Magnus mid, although they could switch it up, put Magnus in the offlane, Darkseer mid. Darkseer, pretty competent mid, but I feel like he's a little bit better in the offlane. But in terms of escaping Skewer, I think... Well, good Shadow Demons will always bait out the Surge, but you can't really bait out the Skewer and not be in the range. So, Shadow Demon... So, with that in mind, I think Magnus might be more suited to the offlane in this position, even though Darkseer could potentially survive and get a bit more experience in gold than the Magnus could. But remember, your number 1 goal in the offlane is to survive, number 2 is get experience, and number 3 is then to get gold. But always focus on survival. But mTw, they have their dual supports, so they're starting to ban out hard carries. Meanwhile, Empire, knowing that Bat Rider most likely will not be in the mid-solo position, banning out the favorite mid-solos of mTw, Night Stalker, Brewmaster, pretty competent mid-lane heroes. Meanwhile, mTw banning out the hard carries, seeing that. Alright, which hard carries synergize pretty well with Keep of the Light? Lifesteal doesn't really necessarily synergize too well with Keep of the Light, because he doesn't really need that much mana. But mana on Lifesteal is never really a bad thing. So they're going to ban out the Lifesteal. Also, Lifesteal just gives heroes like Jakiro and Shadow an absolute fits. just able to go right through. Of course, the Demonic Purge goes through that rage, but still, you don't want to have to use that on a unit that's already immune to magical damage if you have to in the early game. So mTw probably trying to think of what hard carry they're going to go for to help out their dual lane or their tri-lane to solidify it on the bottom lane. Right now, they might ban out a third hard carry for Empire. Empire, they still have some of their staple heroes still left in the pool. Clanks, Bane could potentially be pickups here. Meanwhile, mTw going to ban out the Tinker. Interesting. Maybe they just really fear the game dragging on to a late stage of the game where Tinker and Magnus just pretty much, if Empire wins a fight, then they'll pretty much win the game because Tinker and Magnus are just so annoying to deal with in the late stages of the game. But I'm not too sure the complete reasoning behind the Tinker ban. Maybe they just don't want to face up against Tinker mid with Barotter, most likely in the offlane or jungle position, so they just want to help secure their mid lane position. But Queen of Pain is still left in the pool, and I think that would be a pretty solid choice. TA is still left in the pool, but of course, if mTw do pick up the TA Darkseer, will most likely lane up against her and just give TA a lot of problems. Meanwhile, Empire, will they continue to ban out mid-solo heroes? Queen of Pain, again, still left in the pool. Probably won't ban out the TA here because they have Darkseer. They're going to ban out the Bounty Hunter instead, saying, alright, we're going to try to predict that your Barotter is going to jungle, so we'll put Bounty Hunter in the ban pool. And also, Bounty Hunter, considering the early game strength of mTw, if Bounty Hunter helps solidify those ganks, they can just... mTw can spiral out of control because mTw's early game lineup is pretty ridiculous. Meanwhile, mTw going to pick up a very, very powerful carry in this version, Luna, but funnily enough, I don't see many teams winning with Luna. I feel like Luna might be a little bit overrated, at least in the Western scene. The Eastern scene seems to be making much better use of Luna, but hey, Luna's still a very powerful, bursty carry who can transition well early game to late game. But Empire going to choose the Tiny, so Tiny, Keeper of the Light combination definitely going to be pretty deadly, can constantly refuel the mana, and also can sort of act as a pseudo Tiny Wisp. Not nearly as deadly because he can't relocate and get the gang party all across the map. But Keeper of the Light, keep in mind, he has a 12-second cooldown on recall, so if Tiny's farming lane with Aghanims, Keeper of the Light can just recall him to the middle of the teamfight or to Roshan engagement, and just allow Tiny to get back in the thick of things, and never really stop farming once it gets going. Meanwhile, mTw, they have their tri-lane, they have their potential off-lane, so they're going to choose their mid-lane hero here unless they do a dual lane mid with Shadow Demon and something else. But Chaos Knight is already banned, and he seems to be the staple mid-lane hero to do dual lane mids with. So I expect, I guess, something like a Queen of Pain here. I still think Queen of Pain matches up well against any potential mid-lane that Empire could come up with. But yeah, mTw may have other things in mind. And they're going to choose Invoker. Pretty interesting. Invoker is seeing a slight revival, and when I mean a slight revival, I mean this is the second game that I've casted with him. So obviously that indicates a clear revival of Invoker in the competitive scene. And Invoker is still very powerful in the mid game, but his early game definitely took a hit. All the small nerfs to his support utility items, like Force Staff, no longer giving him that attack speed. The drums doing a little bit less damage, of course, the base damage nerf. And really the metagame doesn't really favor Invoker too much. Well, not really the metagame, just the style of game that's being played right now. Invoker really just wants to sit in the lane for a long time, and if you just sit in the lane for a long time, then other teams will just 5-man push and completely dominate you. But considering that Empire doesn't really have too many strong pushers and they are more of a teamfight lineup, I think Invoker will be pretty safe to stay in his lane for quite a bit of time. So most likely we're going to see Sinian playing the Invoker. I have honestly not seen a Sinian Invoker, but it should be interesting to see. Meanwhile, Empire probably going to try to pick up their last piece of the tri-line right about now. Who's still left in the pool as a strong support? Or they could pick up a jungler as well to really get the push going if they really need to. I think Enigma could be a solid choice. Magnus Enigma and Darkseer. I mean, if you get one of those combos off, it's pretty much GG for that team fight. But they're going to pick up the Templar Assassin. Interesting. And Scandal's going to be playing that, so Scandal probably going to mid-solo up against mTw's Invoker. TA does do quite well against Invoker, but wherever Darkseer and Magnus go, we might just see a jungle Darkseer, because I do see that Funnick is playing the Magnus, so Funnick probably going to go in the off-lane, Scandal probably going to go in the mid-lane. And TA does do quite well against Invoker in the mid-lane again, just because Invoker doesn't really have any competent damage over times that can really drive TA out of lane, and that base damage nerf really hurts Invoker. So he can't really contest as well as he could do against TA in previous matches, and even then, with the base damage nerf not in effect, Invoker still had a reasonably difficult time against TA in the middle lane, just because TA can pretty much last hit everything that she needs to, and has easier access to the runes with the help of Sideblades. But still, Jungle Darkseer, we have not seen that in a while, and that's what I expect. I expect a Jungle Darkseer. And the question is, how will mTw fare against this lineup? But we'll introduce the players and teams as, will there be a second game with no pauses? Oh my god. If there are 2 games without pauses, I think, I don't know, the world of Dota might just turn completely upside down. As hopefully nothing bad is happening to my microphone or anything with XSplit. My love affair with XSplit is quickly coming to an end. I might have to cheat on XSplit with some other recording programs, because XSplit has not been very good to me, sort of just like that cruel mistress. And actually, it is going to be a Darkseer in the offlane, even though Phonic does play offlane. But the thing about Empire lineup, aside from GoBlack and Bully playing the support and carry roles respectively, the other 3 members of Empire rotate pretty frequently. But maybe they're just predicting that Darkseer will... Maybe they're predicting mTw will run an aggressive trial with Xiaodun and Jakiro. But we're into the players and the teams right about now. Synderen is going to be playing the Invoker, Dutch Freak is playing the Jakiro, Warlock is playing the Batrider, 2X is playing the Luna, and Matrim is playing the Shadow Demon. Shoutouts to Matrim, because every pro player gives a shout out to Matrim for whatever reason. May's just a spectacularly hilarious guy, and he deserves a shout out for every game, but every pro player does do a shout out to Matrim for one reason or another. Maybe a bit of a joke. But I'm sure he's a really nice guy. I didn't mean like a joke in terms... I'm just gonna stop. I'm sort of putting myself out there, and I'm not making myself look better at the moment. Meanwhile, on the side of Empire, we have GoBlack playing Keeper of the Light, SS is playing the Darkseer, Scandal is playing the Templar Assassin, Blow Your Brain is playing the Tiny, and Juking, which is Phonic, is playing the Magnetar. And SS is going to rotate back to the jungle. Meanwhile, they're going to give up the bottom lane altogether. Xiaodun, Jakiro, and Luna is a pretty common in tri-lane, just because they can nuke, they can do a lot of damage from far away, and they can trap people in tri-lane. So I guess it's a pretty okay decision by Empire, but they are going to run a dual lane mid up against the Templar Assassin, seeing that, okay, since there's nobody going to be bottom, we're just going to run Luna and Twin Dragon and put Synderen in the safe lane where he won't be pressured by the TA whatsoever. So already mTw doing some interesting lane switches up, and Empire trying to respond in kind, but Synderen's going to be uncontested. Considering it's only a solo Invoker, Synderen's going to be like ecstatic. He's just going to lane against nobody. Interesting enough, he put a point into Quas and getting that early point to Invoke, even though he's laning against nobody. I would have thought, just considering the lane situations, he'd put a point to Exhort and then try to get 1 level to Sunstrike, because right now, he's not being contested in the lane whatsoever. As I forgot to pull down the last hits tabs. Hopefully you guys can forgive me for that 1 minute lapse of not seeing the last hits on your screen. Oh my god, how will you guys survive? As first I was afraid, but now TA is getting the denies. Meanwhile, DC Nebula 1A is going to play some Dota 2. Meanwhile, Tiny, respectively, having a free lane to himself, but unfortunately the tower is doing a decent amount of damage to the creeps, so it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for Bully Rain to get the last hits. You can see Synderen just controlling the creep equilibrium a little bit better, because his lane is not really doing any pulls. Meanwhile, Juking, that bastard Phonic, is going to be doing some pulls, so going to make Bully Brain's life a little bit more difficult. But I'm sure Bully Brain, considering the late game potential of Empire, will just be fine as long as he gets his farm eventually, because I do think in the late game Empire does have a pretty solid advantage. But Bullybrain, having 0 armor, is getting harassed down quite heavily by these creeps, but luckily there's nobody in his lane against him, so he doesn't really have to worry about too much harassment. And Synderen did go for the Quas build. Still yet to put a point into a secondary ability, so I'll be interested to see what he picks up. If he goes for a bit of pushing power with Exhort, or if he goes for more of that teamfight control with Wex. And he puts his point to Wexa, we're going to see an EMP Tornado build. As interesting combination, TA and Keeper of the Light just able to constantly have Refraction up 24/7, being refueled by that Chakra Magic. Meanwhile, you can see Jakiro not putting in point to Liquid Fire just yet. The burn damage does tick off the Refraction charges, but I guess he just wants to have that nuke. I'm sure at level 3 or 4 he'll put a point into Liquid Fire just to try to nuke down those refraction charges ASAP. But as of it, it's more useful to have Dual Breath and Ice Path at level 2, especially up against Doran. If it's more like a Trilon versus a Soul lane, then you really don't. You really want to have that Liquid Fire in case the Soul does leave the lane and you want to get the push going. But against a dual lane, I mean, it's better to have those dual nukes up. As he does start putting more points into Dual Breath, having easier access to the nukes, and hopefully able to do a bit more burst damage. Keep in mind, Dual Breath, burn over time, does do a nice job in terms of burning through that refraction charges as well. But still, Chakra Magic gonna refuel TA's mana all the while. Already has that bottle up. Meanwhile, Darkseer jungling it up. Darkseer pretty much still one of the fastest junglers in the game, as well as Barada, so we'll see who can make a quicker impact. Barada, of course, a little bit slower to start off, but once he gets his stacks and Firefly going, then really he should have a relatively easy time picking up a dagger, maybe around the 9 to 10 minute mark. And once he gets that, then Empire will be in a bit of trouble. Keep in mind, mTw really want to win in the early game, as Matrim is going to rotate. Interestingly enough, mTw are just going to push in. I would have thought Syrian having a free farm lane with Invoker just really wants to control his lane for as long as possible. But I guess they want to force a rotation by Empire, and that is going to force a rotation by Goldblack, allowing TA to be harassed a little bit more, and she's no longer going to have access to those Chakra Magic recharges. But luckily enough, she is level 3 with that haster in the bottle, so she has a decent amount of mana in order to keep fueling those refraction charges. And here comes the laser. One-shotting the range creep, even at level 2. Can you think of a more annoying spell to play against than Illuminate? I can't really think of one. And of course, the Keeper Light on your squad always just nukes down your creeps, and then picks up a Scott and says, "What are you doing? Why didn't you farm your, your Manta style or your Yasha when you're Phantom Lancer?" And then you just cry a little bit inside yourself, because of course, there's a Furion on your team as well who's constantly pushing the wave, and then they say, "Noob carry, no farm, QQ." And then you just die a little bit inside every time that happens. And that's happened to me more often than not, and that always makes me feel bad. As you see, Blow Your Brain doing advanced tactics by suiciding Neutralist, as there's going to be a wraparound gank onto Scandal. Gonna pop the haste, and here comes the Ice Path. Can they chain the stuns? Do get the Soul Catcher. Scandal in a lot of trouble, but does have access to haste, but nicely done by Tulix, holding on to the Lucent Beam, trying to kill him with auto attacks to conserve the mana, but seeing that TA was scurrying away like the Roadrunner, able to get that last hit with the Lucent Beam, and able to pick up the first one. Definitely going to go a long way in terms of fueling Luna's core items. Will she go for the drums? I feel like drums are a little bit overrated on Luna, because she already has pretty high natural move speed, and the drums not giving her as much damage really doesn't help her out too much. But to be fair, have been seeing a lot less drums on Luna as of late. Meanwhile, Cinderin has the phase boots, going to pick up the magic wand relatively soon. 800 gold in the bank. Has the most farm in the game. Keep in mind, Darkseer is farming neutrals. Meanwhile, Batrider has a stack going. Is level 4 with the Tranquil Boots. Probably going to go straight for Blink Dagger right now that he's finished the Tranquil Boots. Actually, Batrider's jungle is a little bit slower than usual. Not too sure why. They messed up here and there. As there's going to be another engagement for Scandal. Scandal is going to die. Nicely done by mTw, really pressuring down Scandal, who was expecting easily enough against Cinerin's Invoker, but in for a rude awakening up against the Ruin support. Keep in mind, Shadow Demon, again, the best gank support in the game by far. And it's always interesting to me to see the variations of skill builds, because we're seeing a lot more Shadow Demons put a lot more points into Shadow Poison if you watch the last game with the abysmal audio. Then you saw the Shadow Demon, even though I didn't mention it, the Shadow Demon actually maxed Shadow Poison relatively early. And I feel like I love that, because Shadow Demon wants to pump out a lot of damage, and Shadow Poison is a good way to do that. And considering he can do it from such a long way away, doesn't really have to put himself into too much danger. But still has a staple skills, as Warlock trying to farm those neutrals up. Level 5, are they going to try to make something else happen? Not too sure what Warlock is doing, as his Firefly and Napalm are both off of cooldown. He's just hoping. I think he expects Empire to gank because the wards are down, but Empire has no intention to do so, and no wards have been reinforced. And meanwhile, Blow Your Brain, after dying to the neutral camps, did end up picking that Hannah minus. Still, here comes the rotation by Warlock, trying to hold off the assault. I don't think Blow Your Brain can kill Warlock at this point, but he can damn well try. But overall, mTw doing a nice job. Luna's getting free farm, Invoker's getting free farm. Actually, Luna, 29-13 because TA does have that higher base damage with the fraction. And being able to constantly fuel that, but you can see TA suffering as well, 17 CS. But keep in mind, Synerin and Warlock having pretty much uncontested jungle. Luna did get that first blood, so that's going to help fuel her goal. Got an assist as well. And keep in mind, Tiny did suicide to neutrals. So overall, mTw should be pretty happy with their position in this game, but they definitely don't want to let up. Empire is one of those teams with fantastic teamwork. Even though they're known for early game aggression and for their dominating challenge, they definitely have really strong teamwork. And of course, when you have a Darkseid and Magnus, then pretty much anything leads into a team wipe. As here comes the EMP, Cold Snap trying to fly in for Golbak, but unfortunately Golbak trying to escape. Here comes the teleport in by Tiny and by the Magnetar. Tower is in deny range. Can Magnetar get in range for the skewer to get Synerin? Synerin's running away as fast as possible, and looks like Synerin will be able to escape. Funnick not fast enough. Actually, Synerin might just get cut off too, but he does pop the Ghost Walk, is going to escape. This tower is going to get denied, and Synerin going to be a little bit unhappy with that exchange, but still not dying, and considering he's out of mana and half HP, he's just going to go back to the fountain. Meanwhile, Barrett continue to neutral up. Still a ways away from his Blink Dagger. Won't probably pick it up until maybe the 13-14 minute mark. I wonder if there was a ward that I didn't see that was blocking out a neutral camp. I don't think so. But this Barret's jungle farm not the best, as here comes Tiny. Brain gonna pick up a kill on Shadowdune, stunning Dutch Freak in place. And without Shadowdune, they don't really have a shot at bursting down Tiny, as Brain does pick up a kill and has his mana refilled to boot. Really happy with that exchange. As they're gonna see Phase Boots Tiny again by Brain. Interesting variation of Tiny builds. Sometimes you see Treads to give him that attack speed, and Wisp is not in the game, so you can avoid picking up the drums. But we're gonna see the traditional Phase Boots Tiny that eHome and other team picked up. There was another team that did the Wisp Tiny combination before eHome did it, but unfortunately, it's on the tip of my tongue, but unfortunately, I cannot remember it for the life of me. Meanwhile, Synerin, level 8, 10 minutes in the game, gonna have very early Force Staff, and Synerin is just having a field day on this bottom lane, just having uncontested farm. Meanwhile, TA only has the boots, under a lot of pressure, has 2 of the 3 deaths on Empire. Keep in mind, one of those deaths was to a neutral, so Empire or mTw didn't get experience or gold for that, because nobody was in the range, because Tiny had a free lane to himself. Meanwhile, I think 2X is going for the drums, and I guess that's okay, because Invoker not going to go for the drums, and they want to have an early game drums. It's very useful, but still not really the biggest fan of drums on Luna anymore. But, I mean, why fix what's not broke? As here comes a pause. It ain't a Dota game until you get a pause. That pauseless Dota game was not a real Dota game. You all just imagined it. We can take a look at the early game goal graph, but you can see really nothing to comment on. Darkseid farming the jungle, Barrett farming the jungle. Empire farming slightly better because 3 kills have gone the way in favor of mTw. But the experience is favoring Empire, so they're able to get the experience going a bit better because of the Tiny Hand minus, because of Darkseid. Faster jungler than Barrett in this game, which shouldn't really happen that big of a difference, but Warlock not really having the best farm in Barrett in this game. Rotating to the top lane as well. We'll still have probably a 15-minute dagger, but definitely not the fastest pace. Really won't get it. I mean, at this point, Barrett will get nuked down if he does blink in, dive in, if the other team is not, if there's more than one person on the other team, and if they have the requisite damage. Meanwhile, mTw is going to do some dewarding, trying to push the middle lane, as it's going to be a massive push up top. Keep in mind that one tower was denied on the bottom lane by Empire. If Empire pick up this tower without the deny, Tiny does get the last hit. Barrett are going to go in, going to cast that last, so going to drag SS. Eclipse is going to fly back in. Luna picks up the kill. But still, Darkseid farming very, very well in the jungle. Gonna have that mechanism up very, very soon as well in about 500 gold. And Brain did pick up the tower, so not the worst exchange for Empire. What would be very bad is if they couldn't defend this tower, and I don't know if they can. Tiny, pretty low in terms of HP, not the highest mana pool either, but it's so annoying to push against Keeper Light without that dagger up on bat. So this tower is gonna be safe for now. For now. Meanwhile, Synerin gonna teleport back to the bomb lane. Necronomicon Warrior. but I don't see a ward icon on the map. Really interesting ward being placed by Empire, because that ward doesn't see anything that the tower doesn't already see. Well, I guess it can see reinforced and teleports, because it's a Rain tower, not the Dire tower, so... Again, I'm making an ass out of myself, but it ain't a B-ball cast unless I make an ass out of myself at least 2 or 3 times. So, gonna go back to the farm game. Scandal really just not having a good game. Has to face, but it's gonna be a long way away until she picks up her secondary item, whether it be a dagger, whether it be a Yasha. Meanwhile, I haven't checked out Phoenix Storm. Has the arcane boots in the ball, so gonna go for that blink dagger next. But still, Empire again, I do believe, winning the late game. So they are content to play the slow-paced style of game. Meanwhile, Synerin, I wonder what he's going to go for next. Hopefully not a utility item, because I really hate it when Invoker just gets so much time, so much farm, and just picks up like 8 utility items like Yula's drums, 4 staff, and everything. Because you're in a solo lane, you're having free farm, and you're just going for items that do well, but overall don't really change the game as much as, say, a Hex, or maybe even an Orchid, or something like that. But, I mean, there's a reason why you get those utility items. Keeper of the Light doesn't have to go for the mechanism, saving up a lot of gold. I wonder what he's saving for. Might be for an early game Ghost Scepter, but there's actually a lot of magical damage on the side of Rain, so probably not for a Ghost Scepter. Maybe for an early game Pipe? But I'd expect Darkseid to usually carry the Pipe, because he's going to be in the center of everything. Keeper of the Light's job is just to stay the heck back and just channel Illuminates to his heart's content. As Warlock is going to have access to that Blink Dagger right now, but unfortunately not the highest mana pool. We'll have to go back to base, but still getting around the 15-minute mark. Is level 9, so has a little bit more HP. As the middle tower is going to be under a bit of pressure. TA does pick up an early medallion, not going to reveal it just yet. It is going to be for a Roshan attempt later on. Will mTw be able to reinforce it? Unfortunately, not yet in time, as Cinder did get the EMP Tornado as my mouse spazzed out. Those 12-year-old mouses, too good. Or 12-year-old mice, too good. As my mouse is literally like 10 or 12 years old. Meanwhile, Magnus continuing his happy way, farming it up for that dagger. Cinder did have to rotate to try to save the tower, but unfortunately was unable to do so. Meanwhile, 2x very, very hesitant to approach, finish the drums. 2x 74 CS, you can see overall, I think the Dire might have a slight CS advantage because these two supports are not getting any farm. But not really by too much. But now Scandal with the medallion gonna go in, no Radiant wards spotting it out, as Radiant really not placing many wards whatsoever. The Dire really playing in the dark as well, but at least they have the TA traps to give them some sort of indication. As Keeper Light going to try to defend the middle lane, but this Roshan is going to die very, very soon, and it is going to go uncontested by mTw. Who's going to pick it up? Scandal is going to get it, even though it doesn't have too many items. We'll definitely appreciate that early survivability, and hopefully it will be a bit more of a factor in these early game engagements. Meanwhile, Barrett blinks in, drags SS away. SS does end up dying despite the best efforts of Keeper of the Light to save him with that blinding light. SS was just trapped in the Firefly for too long. So a nice gank by mTw, but they're going to need a lot more ganks. Unfortunately, pushing against Keeper of the Light is an absolute nightmare. And mTw have only taken one tower, which was denied, but they might just very well pick up a second tower. Looks like Cinder does have invisibility to try to catch out any reinforcements by anybody from Empire, like, say, Go Black, who might get in position for Illuminate very, very soon. And he does a nice job avoiding Go Black so he doesn't get collision blocked, but Go Black is going to be bursted down anyway. Here comes Tiny with the avalanche toss. 2x trying to run away, gets 4-staffed away. Eclipse going to be popped as well, going to soak up a lot of damage onto the refraction and onto the creeps, unfortunately, for 2x. Meanwhile, Barretter does not have access to the lasso. Vacuum going to suck everybody on mTw back in, but the Ice Path does do a nice job getting everybody on the Empire, as here comes the engagement. Scandal is going to die, going to lose the Aegis. Beautiful engagement by mTw. Again, they have a really strong early game lineup, and without that Magnus anywhere near them, Empire can't really take the fight. Scandal going to get all his mana drain, and unfortunately mTw complete out of mana. I think they could have tried to at least pressure Scandal back a little bit, but in the end of the day, mTw solidifying their kill advantage, but unfortunately not able to pick up any towers as well, as I think they could have tried to go for it, but Go Black is in position. Goldblack spent his money on an urn and a wand, as well as wards. As you can see, still no wards on the map, as Synerin going to be under a lot of pressure. Does not enough mana for the Ghost Walk. Here comes the Blink Dagger. Magnus going to suck Synerin back in. Synerin trying to force staff, trying to buy as much time as possible. Going to run away with that Quas Wex build. Going to try to TP out. Will be able to escape. Nicely done by Synerin, calculating his mana, realizing, okay, I'll just get away. As Keep the Light did have Sentry Wards, but a nice teleport out by Synerin. Gonna escape that situation altogether. So both pretty good plays by mTw thus far. But unfortunately, Empire do have a tower advantage. 3 towers to only 1 on the side of mTw, and that tower was denied. And unfortunately, 2x did die in the last engagement. Just gonna rush that BKB. But unfortunately, reverse flurry goes through BKB. Tiny's massive club hands once he picks out Aghanim's Scepter won't really help Luna when she's in BKB form. But still, BKB very necessary against the likes of Darkseer, against Keeper of the Light's Blinding Light, against Shockwave, against Avalanche Toss. Still will be extremely necessary. Meanwhile, Synerin, I like it. He's going straight for the Hex. No more utility items. He was receiving a lot of free farm, but Synerin might be in a little bit of trouble. Tornado going to scout out the way. Goldblack going to get EMP Tornado, and you can see the range of EMP. Still as ridiculous as ever. Once Invoker gets his experience, he's still a very powerful hero. But just no longer as good of an early game hero as he was. But unfortunately, Keeper Light is just so ridiculously annoying. God, I hate that hero. I really do. I hate you, Gandalf. I don't hate Gandalf. I hate this guy. Meanwhile, Tiny's farm has slowed down significantly, yet to break that 100 CS mark. These days, remember the old days where 100 CS by 20 minute mark was considered very good? Well, these days it's like 130, 150 CS is considered very, very good. Meanwhile, 100 is just pretty much meh. And Tiny has died a couple times, 1, 2, and 1. To be fair, one of those deaths was to a neutral, but still, yet to finish the Aghanims. Does he have any items on the courier just yet? No, he does not. As again, the shop trying to troll me, but I am too good for you, shop. I now know your secret. I know your weakness. I know your kryptonite. As you can see, mTw trying to slow down the assault. Unfortunately, against Keep the Light, against Tiny, who can just farm creep waves in the blink of an eye, it's so hard to push against these guys. And Empire, they're content to turtle up. Very, very different approach than we usually see from Empire, who plays super aggressive. But they are playing they're playing how they need to win in order to beat mTw this game. They just want to play it slow and steady. Juking is going to get cold snapped and lassoed, and looks like Funnick is going to end up dying. Barrett does pick up the kill. Warlock is on a killing spree. Will be very close to his 4 staff, I imagine. No, still quite a bit away. Goldblack not in position to start shining those Illuminates. So mTw is finally going to take a tower. Meanwhile, Dutch Freak does end up dying, but it's just a Jakiro as Illuminate's going to fly in. Unfortunately, will not slow the assault by mTw. Glyph is going to be popped. They really want to save this middle tower. Tornado going to try to slow down the assault. Here comes the trap. Vacuum going to suck everybody into back in. Scandal is going to do immense amount of damage to the Barrett. Does pick up that killing spree as here comes the Luna. Eclipse going to be channeled. Going to try to do as much damage as possible. Scandal does end up dying to the Luna. But unfortunately, with Keep the Light still at full mana, or pretty much at full mana, and Tiny there to reinforce, the push has yet again stalled by mTw. And the push isn't really going to get easier as this game goes on, because Tiny is just going to become more and more of a factor in terms of pushing creep waves back. But BKB is going to be finished in about 50 gold for the Luna. That might be the extra push that mTw needs in order to take a tower. May take 2, try to get some position, because right now Roshan is pretty much free whenever Empire wants it, whenever Roshan does respawn. And that's not going to be very good for mTw. If TA, if Magnus, if Tiny picks up the Aegis, they can just do so much work in these team fights that will just be really detrimental to mTw's overall game plan. And really be detrimental to their achievement of victory. So even though it's 10-4, I feel like Empire are still in a very, very comfortable position. Checking out the early game gold graph, you can see Empire vastly, or not really vastly, have a significant gold lead on mTw, but definitely able to be overcome pretty easily if mTw can win a couple team fights. Only about 4.5k. And keep in mind, Empire do have 3 towers ahead of mTw. Experience graph slightly in favor of the Dire as well. But because of the lanes are pushed, mTw can't really farm the jungle. Meanwhile, Empire can farm, and their jungle can farm all the lanes. As it looks like mTw trying to make something happen, going to smoke up very on. Here comes the EMP channel, going to drag Tiny out of position. Goldblack going to try to blinding light to try to save the Tiny, but Xiaodun does end up picking up the kill. Here comes Illuminate, going to fly back in by Goldblack, as looks like Xiaodun going to venture very far forward. Matron, what are you doing? Going to get the disruption off onto Scandal. Flamebreak going to push him back. Magnus, really aggressive maneuvers by mTw, going to push Empire all the way back from the tower. Don't want to take the site without the Tiny. Might be forced to, as Goldblack pretty low in terms of HP. And mTw might just take their victory and run the bit, because there is still a Magnus the Blink Dagger. But he does with the reverse polarity. Completely nice finishing by mTw. Funnick going to take a bunch of damage. Blinding Light again, slowing down the pursuit, but Blink in reverse. No, he canceled the reverse polarity animation, as that animation still goes off. I was mistaken. So he still does have the reverse polarity online. As that is a little trick you can do. Just cancel the animation, or cancel the ultimate right before it's casted. So Funnick gonna have that reverse polarity up, but the animation sometimes still goes in effect. Zeus's sound effect, like the thunderclap, still plays even if without the ultimate being casted. If you do some quick stop canceling, Treant's overgrowth, even the Shadow Amulet cancellation is pretty cool. But still, nice victory for mTw, able to clean up the primary carry on the side of Empire, who is still yet to pick up that Aghanims. And meanwhile, Funnick gonna get surged ahead. Will Empire actually fight this? No, they are just gonna be unable to do so. As Rain gonna claim another tower in the middle lane. So mTw gonna get themselves back in the game in the goal graph. So now mTw is looking in a little bit better position, trying to secure a bit of map control. But still, the teamfight of Empire might just get them back in the game, as here comes the Blinking Lasso onto Scandal. Scandal's gonna get dragged to his death. Man, so many nukes being casted, but a beautiful reverse polarity catching all 5 of the mTw heroes. Is there any backup damage? BKB Luna is going to be casted. Darkseer does clean up the barrier. Meanwhile, Jakiro does end up killing Goldblack. mTw Stain does claim the life of SS, the Darkseer. Could you ask for a better reverse polarity by Funnick? You could not, but unfortunately, without Scandal's DPS, that reverse polarity was largely wasted. Well, not wasted. They still managed to claim the barrier, but still a very significant victory by mTw, as they are looking pretty sharp in this game, even though their positioning was a little bit off. 5-man reverse, usually when that happens, you expect a full-on team wipe. But unfortunately, mTw, or unfortunately for Empire, they were unable to get that to happen. As Magnus trying to get that regen rune, gonna escape him for a bit, and still... Oh, there are wards on the map. Lame. They just don't usually have the eye icon. I wonder if I can fix that. Let's see. Fog both teams. Free camera, one available. As even in the observer matches, there's an eye indicating the wards, but a little bit weird in this game. As lag is called by Synerin, won't fast forward just yet. As you can see, the goal graph starting to dip back in favor of mTw after those kills, after picking up 2 towers for free. And Empire must be a little bit worried, because Tiny's not firing nearly as fast as he would have, even with the minus. And really, without the Tiny or without Scandal, they don't have the damage to really maximize Funnick's reverse polarities. So Rain doing a nice job, and BKB is up on Luna, so now she can start picking up some big damage items. Well, I think she probably will go for that Mantis style first, but still, anything's an option. Synerin, I imagine... Oh man, he just finished the Hex, so that's going to be a pretty big detriment for Scandal or for Boyerbrain, because they are going to be quite far away from the BKB. Yes, Scandal did go for the dagger, as with the medallion they're trying to secure the Roshan, but they don't have the reverse up. They do still have the vacuum, but they don't have the wall. Wall will be up. Will mTw contest this? I think they know what's going on. The ward was dewarded by mTw, or was dewarded by Empire, and I think mTw do know what's up. Traps are littered all over the ground, trying to slow down the assault. Can they kill the Roshan? Roshan's dying very, very quickly. The Aegis will end up on Scandal as the trap is popped, but smoke is going to be used as well by mTw to try to negate some of that slow. Maybe pick up a gank as well, hoping for Empire to disperse. Meanwhile, Luna going to continue her merry way onto galloping for greener pastures, as Force Staff is going to be finished for Barrier, so once Barrier blinks in, and gets one hero, then he can immediately drag him back to his team and essentially make a teamfight 4v5. He catches off Funnick in that last zone, then pretty much all of Empire's teamfight potential will go down the drain. Darkseer, very, very strong, but unfortunately, we want to have that third point up into wall in order to really make a huge difference. mTw level 10, again, net worth, Shadow Demon all the way at the bottom. I want to see one match, just one match where Shadow Demon is not at the bottom, even though mTw I still feel like are a little bit ahead. But the Aegis is definitely going to give Empire a nice bit of breathing room, but unfortunately that Aegis will time out. And finally Blurbrain has finished up that Aghanim, is going to cleave down the Screep Wave, or clean down these Ancients, and going to pick up a hefty bounty of gold. Did end up going for the drums after all. Probably going to go for the Yasha, pretty standard tiny build Yasha into Daedalus into whatever the heck he wants. Might be better for him to go for a BK, even though there's a Lasso and a Purge on the side of mTw, but there's just so much magical damage that BKB will help out Blurbrain immensely. And you can see mTw just staying the heck back, allowing Luna to approach pretty safely, because you don't want to really reverse polarity just Luna. Actually, that wouldn't be too bad of an idea. Barrier cutting down the trees for an Avenue to initiation. Scandal gonna blink in, Sinner gonna have to back the heck out, and mTw, what are you doing, mTw? You're gonna die. The question is, will mTw actually help mTw, as he is gonna end up dying? No, they're just like, mTw, what are you doing, man? Our team is here. That's not your team. That's a Dire. Dire are bad people. They want to see you dead. You do not want to run right at the bad people in order to cast a Shadow Poison. But mTw does end up dying, so his net worth has been lowered a little bit more. Trying to keep consistent. Just wants to make sure that his net worth will always be at the last in the game, because he is a Shadow Demon. But with mTw dead, mTw will respawn relatively soon. GPM, you can see Tiny ahead of the pack. Levels. Well, there might be a bit of an engagement, as I unfortunately forgot how to bring down the levels tab, and there it goes. Pretty even levels across the board. Pretty even game overall. Will mTw actually be able to defend this tower? TA is going to get a lot of her mana drain, but guess what? You have Keeper of the Light. So, again, another interesting choice why they went for Invoker when Keeper of the Light was already picked up. Blinking Lasso onto Blurbrain. He's going to end up dying. Force Staff is going to come in. Blurbrain's going to get kited. Bonnie is going to be cast as well. Luna's going to come in with the Eclipse. Going to try to slow down Scandal. Scandal's going to lose his Aegis. mTw trying to get back into the game, or trying to secure their advantage. Scandal is going to be in a lot of trouble. Scandal's going to die a second time. Meanwhile, Deafening Blast, Ice Path combination going to hold Empire in place. Go Black might just end up taking the fall. He will burst in a blaze of Napalm. SS is going to be slowed down by the Cold Snap, as Funnick is going to try to teleport out to safety, but again, a near team wipe by mTw, as they are just playing superbly in this game. Aside from minor hiccup here and there, the Dire team fight is just so good, but mTw with superb positioning, never really allowing Funnick to get the proper reverse polarity, other than that really nice reverse polarity right there. But even when they're pushing in, they're spreading out their heroes like that. When the Empire squad are pushing in, mTw always were spread out, and they just use their range, whether it be Barriers, Blink Dagger, Lasso combination to drag out Blurbrain, or whether it be Invoker's massive EMP Tornado range. mTw has just been cleaning house in these team fights, and that's going to put Empire a little bit on the edge, as they really have a strong team fight line. It looks like the Tornado going to fly in, going to catch Scandal. He's going to get lassoed and Hex. A little bit of mistiming chain stuns. Firefly was not used, so a lot of damage to Scandal was otherwise mitigated. Here comes Blurbrain, going to pick off Dutch Freak in the blink of an eye, and he's going to continue assault. BK Balloon is going to charge ahead. Blurbrain going to take a bunch of damage, is soul charactered up, going to get Lucent Beamed as well. The tower did take the fall as well. Here comes Wall Vacuum combination. Can Empire pick up some kills? Scandal does kill the retreating Matron. Tulix does die as well, as mTw tried to take their pursuit, and unfortunately it did end up costing him a little bit, but at least two of their members do escape to safety, but mTw did end up taking tower, and they forced a buyback as well on Tiny. But Tiny will be able to farm that up relatively quickly. Going to go straight up for that AC rather than anything like a Yasha. But mTw, I think they were sensing that they were on the brink of taking the game, but unfortunately Empire capitalized on that. able to pick off the aggressive mTw squad one by one. So mTw might have to play a little bit more carefully. Synderen gonna go either BKB or probably Aghanims in this situation. He can just abuse his range, so that BKB really not too relevant. It's not like he's a battle invoker. He's still a caster invoker at this point. But he is level 17, so once invoker hits at level 25 with an Aghanims, he is so deadly. Meanwhile, Empire just running around in place. Keep in mind, Funix still has a reverse up, has not used it in a couple of these fights. But mTw are going to defend the assault on the bottom tower for now. Meanwhile, Luna going to pick up that straight up Eagle song, going to go for that butterfly. Keep in mind, Tiny's cleaves go right through that evasion. But considering Luna has the shortest range on the team besides Batrider, Tiny cleaves will most likely go right onto her face, or the Tiny attacks, the primary attacks will go right onto Luna. As Scandal's approaching, saving up a lot of gold. I imagine Scandal's saving up for a dagger as well, or for a BKB as well. As Blurbrain gonna sense the mTw are a little bit out of position. Blink in, lasso onto Blurbrain yet again. EMP Tornado slowing down the reinforcements. Firefly gonna drain a lot of Blurbrain's HP. Eclipse gonna fly in yet again. Reverse Flighty gonna catch Warlock and gonna catch Synderen. Synderen gonna get a nice defensive disruption by Matron, but unfortunately Synderen too low HP to really maximize that. Scandal is gonna be on the tree. Can he escape? It looks like Scandal is gonna escape as Empire do take that team fight, and buyback was forced by Warlock. But again, losing Tiny yet again, and this Luna is starting to hurt quite a bit. But they do have the wall, which scales accordingly to how powerful the heroes get. And if one of those illusions of Luna's is allowed to remain in the picture, those glaives will do a huge amount of damage. So it's difficult to call who has the advantage. I still think mTw have a slight advantage because they've shown that they can take these team fights. But the goal graph indicating a slight advantage for the Dire. Experience graph, a slight advantage for the Dire as well. But Butterfly has been fished on Luna. I think this Roshan will be the crux of the game. The Aegis and Cheese, considering mTw have been winning the team fights without, or winning a lot of the early game team fights without the Aegis and Cheese. But considering that Empire are doing a nice job recovering in that regard, if Empire can get another Aegis and Cheese, that might be what can put them over the top in these teamfight engagements. Meanwhile, if mTw get the Aegis and Cheese, then that might help to secure them a tier 3 and perhaps even a Rex, and really give Empire fits. Meanwhile, Scandal just going to go straight up for that Daedalus. I think I would have rather preferred a BKB, even though there is Lasso and Purge. But I think this Firefly damage draining a lot of the refraction charges, Eclipse, Shadow Poison, so many damage spells. I think BKB would have been a better option for Scandal. But trying to avoid those situations altogether. Hopefully mTw will just waste all their damage right off the bat, or all their damage over the times, and he can just blink in and do an immense amount of damage. As Goldblack might be trying to bait, nobody in position, Batrider not yet in position. Matron, again, dutifully de-warding it up. As you can see, there are actually a lot of wards on the map. But overall, it looks like the Dire have a slight advantage in terms of map control, and that Roshan will respawn in about 30 seconds. And mTw are going to have to contest this one at the very least. But Tulux is going to farm his buyback off this ancient stack, so that might give mTw a slight advantage. Unfortunately, no real close towers to teleport into in a Roshan engagement. This tower did end up dying in the previous Empire assault, and this tower not really the fastest to teleport back into if you want to go for a Roshan engagement. But mTw clean up that ancient stack and now are trying to get in position. They wrote the timer down for Roshan as well, and you can see de-warding, ward battles abound. Might get a disruption onto the Keeper Light. Will mTw actually initiate this? It might be a trap, as you can see. Funnick is going to get the blink in reverse, not going to get the skewer, but going to do immense amount of cleave damage. Here comes Tux trying to do whatever he can, as he's doing so much right-click damage. Does manage to kill Scandal, kills off the retreating Funnick. Tulux is doing so much work. Can he kill SS as well? Batrider does pick up the last hit. Buyback's forced on the side of Empire, as that was a pretty solid reverse, but unfortunately For whatever reason, the skewer did not go out, dragging the other team back towards his teammates as Blurbrain going to try to pick off the Batrider. Blurbrain going to be under a lot of pressure right now. He might end up dying as well if they lose Blurbrain right now. That could be a Roshan and perhaps even a potential Rex for the side of mTw. Golak is going to escape, also saving the life of Blurbrain. No, a nice Sunstrike going to clean up the kill on Golak. Beautifully timed by Siren. Nice prediction as well. Has that 6th or 5th point into Exhort. And now this Roshan will be claimed by mTw. So mTw looking so impressive, and Tulix has just been doing so much work. And who bought back in that engagement? Unfortunately, I cannot see. But they are going to get Aegis. Aegis probably going to go on to the Luna. Cheese probably going to go on to Synerin. Going to probably sell his magic wand. And mTw have just been taking it to Empire in these team fights again. Funnick jumped in, but unfortunately I think Darkseer SS might have been a little bit out of position. Maybe he was slowed down, maybe he got disabled somehow, but the vacuum wall combination just was not in the right position. Funnick got a 2-man reverse, but Luna was doing a nice job positioning herself, so she was out of the reverse, popped Eclipse, and that butterfly just went to town on everybody on Empire. So mTw looking in a really solid position. Now they can say, even if we get a reverse off onto Luna, she'll respond with the Aegis, actually going to pick up Boots of Travel and Helm with the Dominator, getting some lifesteal, and getting that additional map mobility across the map. Really no point in having Tranquils at this stage in the game. And it might be time for mTw to try to seal a victory, because even though they have the advantage, you never really want to take it to it against a Tiny and a Magnetar. And AC is going to be finished right now for Blurbrain, not saying up for buyback, because I think he knows if everybody on his team dies, or if he dies, then they're going to lose the team fight anyway. But I think the next appropriate item, there's just so much magical damage being thrown out by mTw. I'm really surprised that nobody on the side of Dire have a BKB just yet. And I think Scandal's starting to regret his choice of Crystallis into Yasha. Or Yasha into Crystallis, as Initiation gone to Golak. The all Synderen did end up going for that BKB. Interesting choice. But is level 20, so all his spells do hurt quite a bit. As people are trying to slow down the assault, will there be a blink onto Golak? No. This tower might be given up for free. No, Empire do want to contest it. Funnick trying to get in position. Does have that level 3 reverse, so 4 seconds. Or 3.75 seconds now, due to the latest patch nerf. Onto Magnus, says there's going to be a blinking onto Funnick. Can they kill Funnick right off the bat? Do burst down Funnick. Does he have buyback? He does not. So this could be a potential Rex for mTw. I don't know if they can defend it without reverse play, considering there's Aegis and Cheese on the side of mTw, but they're going to have to try their hardest. And no buyback on the Tiny. They do not want to risk Tiny's life here, because if Tiny dies, that might be a potential second Rex. What will Empire do to try to slow down this assault? They're going to need the vacuum wall right off the bat, but here comes Golak. He's going to die. Tulix is going to lose a lot of his HP, but he still has the Aegis trying to man up against the Darkseer. Does man up successfully, as meanwhile TA does pick off the Batrider and the Shadow Demon. Tulix should just go back in. You have the Aegis. Magnus is dead. Buyback by the Batrider. Here comes the BKB used by Synerin. Not able to get too much to the wall. Does get a successful kill. Synerin taking so much damage. Approach too dangerously. Gonna use the cheese and back off the turtling by Empire. Too good, as Magnus is gonna respawn relatively soon with that reverse. And you can see again those butterfly lifesteal illusions do so much damage, or not really the lifesteal, but just the butterfly illusions with that evasion, with the bouncing glaives, just do so much damage for mTw. But seeing that the Darkseer is down, they do want to continue to assault, but unfortunately Magnus is up with that reverse, so mTw had to watch out for the positioning. Gonna send Luna out on ahead. They really want this Rex. Blurbrain's gonna teleport back in. Ice Path gonna freeze him in place for a little bit. No! A nice reverse by Funnick as he catches out 3 heroes on the side of mTw. This is gonna be most of the way of a team wipe, as Manalik is gonna be used on 2x. He's gonna pop BKB, gonna get cleaved down by an immense thwack of the tree by the Tiny. And I think mTw just got a little bit too greedy, as they are gonna give Empire an opening to get themselves back into the game. And you never want to give a team like Empire an opening at all. As mTw playing well, but some questionable decisions. As Sinner's gonna buy back, will Luna buy back as well? Probably just will not buy back with the BKB on cooldown, otherwise it might be just a waste of a buyback. But still has 45 seconds left. We'll probably have to buy back right now because the siege is going to be on very, very soon. EMP Tornado going to be casted yet again. And this Darkseer wall just doing so much work. Blink in. Skewer not able to catch anybody on the side of mTw. But Phonic does have access to versatility in 30 seconds. Luna does finally buy back. That is the cue for Empire to back the heck out. As Valorant's going to get Ice Path. Is going to get hexed as well. But a nice search by the Darkseer SS. Going to save the life of his ally. But they forced the buyback. That's all Empire really wanted, and they got a tier 2 tower as well. Forced the buyback on Cinderin as well. As I'm really not understanding Cinderin's choice to get that BKB onto the Invoker. I feel like Aghanims would be a solid choice, or a better choice. Overall, will give him more HP, but I guess it's just feeling the pressure. But overall, I think the crux of the engage is really revolved on Scandal blinking in behind the enemy lines, able to clean off mTw and Kiro, or clean off mTw and Batrider. And mTw, they're going to smoke up very aggressively, trying to pick up a kill. But the Dire, they sense something's up, they're trying to retreat. Bullerbane has a lot of gold in the bank, still has that buyback up. As mTw, what is their game plan? Already used the Aegis and the Cheese, unable to break the siege line, at least got a tier 3, but still. How do you push against a walled Darkseer with the illusions that do an immense amount of damage by the Luna? And considering Luna's low range, she always will be in danger of creating an illusion in order to hit the people on the side of the Dire. So 2x just going to continue to farm, probably going to farm until that's Satanic, I imagine, considering buybacks on cooldown. Might just even sell the drums at this point. Well, definitely will sell the Aquila. Meanwhile, Tiny finally finishes the BKB. This might be the item that Empire needs because Tiny in all these engagements, or in most of these engagements, getting lassoed, getting bursted down by so much magical damage. It won't help Tiny against the lasso, but the residual magical damage, considering Tiny has a lot of base HP, will help Tiny out immensely. Checking out the golden experience graph, you can see slight gold advantage for the Dire. A huge disparity. Well, a big swing up and a big swing down for experience, but at this point experience graph won't really tell you how the game is going. We're getting to that late game portion where one mistake will just cost you the game, and this really determines the caliber of your team. As Darkseer trying to go for that Hex, Phonic making his way towards that Refresher. And I think Empire know that most of their important heroes do have buybacks, so they're going to try to make something happen. If they don't get their siege working out, they can just buy back. No, they're just going to back off, saying it might be a little bit too risky. Meanwhile, Batrider probably trying to stay up for a heart, but it's going to be, well, it's going to be a long ways away. Meanwhile, I wonder what Cinderin's going to go for. Probably an Aghanims, I imagine. As Satanic Recipe has been finished, Luna very close to picking that up, or picking up the Reaver. And that might give Luna what she needs in order to combat the illusions. Give her some HP, give her some nice lifesteal, but now Tiny just hurts so much with that finished AC with the BKB that even a Satanic couple hits. Because what are you going to do when Satanic ends? Tiny can still just hit you for 1,000,000 damage. So very careful game being played by both sides. Roshan going to spawn in about 2 minutes, and this is again another important Roshan. As mTw able to clear down the tier 3 with the last Roshan, but again, their over-aggression ended up costing them perhaps a Rex. Hopefully it won't cost them the game, but that might very well happen. As again, in a late game situation with Magnus and Tiny on one side, I think I'm going to take that side any day of the week. Especially with heroes that don't scale that well. mTw, well, I mean mTw scales pretty well across the board. But I think the heroes on Empire just scale so much better to the late game than, say, a Jakiro, a Shadow Demon, even a Bat. Because the Bat's biggest strength is just make a teamfight 4v5, able to drag the opposing hero into the midst of your team, but now the opposing side on the side of the Dire have so much HP that they could survive the initial assault of Batrider and perhaps even take a 5v5 teamfight as the EMP Tornado is going to slow down the assault of Empire. Is it time to go big for mTw? Is it time to consider a rapier choice after the Satanic? I mean, it's going to be a long way away to pick up the rapier, but very well might be one of the only options that mTw has left. Still, they're not in desperation mode. They have a 28-18 lead in terms of kills. They have a tier 3 tower, whereas Empire does not, but still, Magnus is just so annoying to deal with in the late game as they're going to drag Blow Your Brain. Again, can't pop the BKB just yet. Will be able to pop the BKB if can't get Hex down. EMP Tornado actually going to help out. Blow Your Brain going to be able to pop that BKB. Will end up paying the price. It does have buyback, I think. Yes, he does. As I thought that might have been a bit of a misplay by Synerin, but it actually turned out to help mTw a little bit because Tiny did end up using his first BKB charge. But Blow Your Brain is going to buy back right about now. There might be a wraparound engagement. Do the Radiant have sight? Radiant are going to have to back out. Will Empire catch them off guard? As Skipulite does get the recall, Illuminate is going to reveal the location of Empire. That is the cue for mTw to say, we are not staying in that direction. So that might have been a bit of a miss by Go Black. But still, I don't know if mTw would have gone into the Roshan anyway. Darkseer and Magnus. Darkseer especially, the kings of Roshan engagement. Because you're in this tiny little area where it's so easy to get a vacuum 5-man wall, 5-man reverse. But mTw did end up blowing a buyback on Tiny, so overall a nice victory for them. And of course, wasting a lot of the buyback cooldown on Luna. She's going to have buyback. Once she farms enough gold, she will have enough for buyback. Synerin probably going to save for buyback and then try to finish the Aghanims whenever it's possible. Adali's going to get a straight up Aghanims. But you can see Barra is still relevant. This makes it so difficult. If one person tries to poke out his head too far on the side of Empire, it will probably just mean a dead hero on the side of Empire. As Scandal, do you have your BKB? He finally has his BKB and 4k gold in the bank. Meanwhile, Darkseer trying to pick up the Hex, but unable to farm any real locations as the Smoke to See is going to be used. I do not think the trap spotted out. mTw trying to get a lasso gank, I imagine. But still, Empire just staying very close together. As it's going to be a wraparound Firefly. Again, the trap, very limited vision, not able to spot out that Observer Ward by the Dire. But the lava spawns are going to reveal themselves. The Firefly Trail going to reveal themselves as well. So now Empire do know. Nicely placed Observer Ward by Go Black, most likely going to completely derail that smoke gank. And again, another stalemate. 2x gonna go in. But the trap is there. The trap is there, 2x. You don't have buyback. You have Alacrity, but you don't have buyback. This could be a huge mistake by mTw as Illuminate's gonna fly back in. This also could be a bit of a bait as Scandal's gonna blink in aggressively, pop the BKB. Here comes Warlock, gonna get the last off into Blow Your Brain. Vacuum gonna suck in. 2x gonna have cast the Eclipse, trying to kill Go Black. As where is Blow Your Brain? Where is Blow Your Brain? As the Scandal one shot does so much damage to Synerin. Luna does end up killing Go Black. Looks like Scandal's gonna get frozen in place out of the BKB timer does time out. Scandal's gonna die, but here comes Blow Your Brain on the assault, gonna get force staffed. Jakiro does get force staffed away. Reverse play catches 2x, but unfortunately Frank does end up paying for it with his life. 2x gonna do a bunch of damage. mTw might be able to claim this victory very soon. No, Darkseer, the vacuum wall combination, gonna melt down Zern, who does buy back, and mTw is gonna have to buy or get the heck out of there. Does 2x have buyback? He should have buyback, even if he does end up dying. Will take a lot of damage. Can he escape? Satanic is on cooldown and will die, but barely enough for the buyback. Those skills definitely helped him out. Overall, the beginning of the engagement definitely favored mTw, but I think that was pretty even. But mTw might be able to take this type fight a little bit more frequently. Reverse is not up, Phonic is still dead, but Roshan, considering it's a Dire advantage, considering the creep equilibrium in favor of the Dire, Empire going to claim the Aegis and the Cheese, and that is a huge victory. That might be what turns the tides of the game. Cheese up on Tiny, Scandal is going to have the Aegis. Meanwhile, mTw, a little bit of an awkward situation. They can't really push in because Phonic's going to be respawning very soon. As is going to blink dagger lasso onto Blow Your Brain, who I don't know if he has buyback. He's going to get lassoed in place. Here comes Scandal, going to blink in onto Cinnamon, going to take so much damage. Again, BKB not going to help you from Scandal's immense right clicks. Cinnamon does not have buyback, going to vacuum back in. Tulix going to do Satanic, going to do huge amounts of damage, going to kill off the Darkseer. Here comes a skewer in by Funnick, but Tulix manning up against the entirety of Empire Squad. Unfortunately, the Crag exterior gonna save the life of Scandal, and mTw is all that remains on the side of mTw. Barrett does buy back, hopefully just to dissuade as the purge is going to be used. It might very well kill Scandal if he can't get the refraction up. It is going to use the Aegis, but Scandal just going to respond with full HP, full mana. mTw do have the glyph, but they are going to lose a Rex for sure. As again, BKB on Invoker, I don't think very strong, very smart item choice considering the massive amount of physical damage. I think Ghost Scepter is just so good, but Ghost Scepter doesn't really prevent cleave damage by the Tiny. I don't know if it prevents the Psyblade damage either. Psyblade's damage either. And with Tulix out of the picture, really not having too much fun with that Craggy exterior proc. And mTw are going to lose 2 barracks in the blink of an eye. Again, you saw the problem. Barrett got a nice blink lasso combination, but the cheese and the overall bulkiness of Tiny allowed Tiny to survive, pop the cheese, and start working inside of mTw. And this is going to be mega creeps. Without Tulix, they can't defend this. Is this going to be GG? Oh man, one team fight in the late game really does make the difference. Warlock going to blink in, trying to catch off Scandal as Blow Your Brain trying to find a position. They're cutting Blow Your Brain to his heart's content. Blow Your Brain just going to try to focus on the Rex. Here comes Siren, does finally respawn. 2X will respawn very soon, so they are going to protect the barracks if they do not all die right here, right now, as Blow Your Brain's going to be in the middle of the assault. Nice reverse polarity and vacuum wall combination, going to try to melt down everybody on the side of mTw. Everybody on mTw does die, aside from the Luna. And GG, well played, good game, being called by mTw. What a game. But again, against Magnus and Tiny in the late game, even though Funnick didn't really cast any clutch reverses, you still do not want to take the fight. As GG's were called, Tulix might be enough to drive out the assault. So, GG was called. GG's called by Scandal. And here comes the disconnects. As mTw lose in heartbreaking fashion. As they played well, but some decision making by mTw. Their over aggressiveness, whether it be here, whether it be here, when the Darkseer bought back, when Funnick was about to respawn, ended up costing them the game. So they are going to lose the series 2-0 versus Empire in the Dota 2 Raidcall League. Heartbreaking defeat for mTw. As a Rapier and a Relic being picked up by Tiny. Bring it on, bitches. Dutch because got this in the bag. Now he calls it GG and finally disconnects. Again, mTw's over-aggressive nature did end up costing him again. I think the BKB on Cinnamon was not a very good decision. I think Ghost Scepter probably would have been a better decision overall. And mTw are going to lose the game. So unfortunate for them, as their streak of bad luck does continue. But a really interesting game. Definitely never really knew who had the advantage. mTw lose with the kill lead. Always a heartbreaker when that happens. But this is the power of Magnus and Tiny in the late game. And with the heroes that just scale better than heroes like Shadow Demon and Jakiro. But mTw are going to lose 2-0 in the Dota 2 Raidcall League. Great game being played by both sides. Hopefully you enjoy that cast. Hopefully no audio disasters will happen. But thanks for watching. Keep supporting me. One cast a day is going to continue. The last cast was delayed a little bit, but overall, hopefully you guys enjoy this match. I'll be back very soon. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.